That morning cup of coffee you've been drinking for 40 years might be slowly poisoning you. If you're over 60, you need to hear this. The coffee industry has been hiding something from you, and it's not just about caffeine or jitters. It's about what's actually inside those grounds you've been trusting your entire adult life. We tested the science. We dug into the lawsuits. We examined what major brands won't tell you about pesticides, heavy metals, and cancer-linked compounds in your morning brew. Clean Label Project tested 57 coffee products in 2025, running over 7,000 individual tests for contaminants including heavy metals, mycotoxins, pesticides, and phthalates. What they found was disturbing. Heavy metals were detected in 100% of samples. Significant levels of glyphosate byproducts appeared even in organic coffees. And the United States federal government has no contaminant regulations for coffee. None. For seniors managing diabetes, heart disease, kidney function, or blood pressure, every unregulated chemical in your morning cup adds stress to systems already working overtime. And what we found should make every senior rethink what they're pouring into their cup. Here are 12 specific coffee brands you should never buy, starting with some names you'll definitely recognize. Great value. Let's start with America's budget option. Walmart's Great Value Coffee. Price point, unbeatable. Transparency, non-existent. Great Value Coffee provides zero information about sourcing, farming practices, or supplier standards. When Clean Label Project tested 45 popular coffee brands in 2025, they found that canned coffees, exactly the format Great Value sells, contained the highest levels of phthalates among all packaging types. Phthalates are endocrine-disrupting chemicals linked to reproductive problems, childhood obesity, and cancer. They leach from packaging into your coffee, and Great Value's canned format puts you at the highest risk. The brand offers no organic options, no fair trade certification, no third-party testing for mycotoxins, the mold-produced toxins that can accumulate in improperly stored beans and have been classified as potential carcinogens. You're saving a few dollars per canister, but you're paying in ways that won't show up on your receipt. But if budget store brands concern you, wait until you hear what one of America's most iconic coffee names has been caught doing. Chock Full O' Nuts. Been in American kitchens since 1932, a brand that built its reputation on quality. That was then. Today, Chock Full O' Nuts operates under the Massimo Zanetti Beverage USA umbrella, one of the world's largest coffee conglomerates. And like most mass-market brands, they've made choices that prioritize volume over quality. No organic certification, no fair trade verification, no transparency about pesticide use in their supply chain. The coffee industry uses over 250 pounds of chemical pesticides per acre on conventional farms. Some of these chemicals, including glyphosate, are banned in other countries but still permitted in coffee imported to the United States. Coffee beans are porous. They absorb these chemicals during growth. And unlike surface residues on fruits and vegetables, you can't wash pesticides off coffee beans. For seniors with compromised kidney function, which affects over 37% of adults over 60, this accumulated chemical load matters. Your body simply doesn't detoxify as efficiently as it once did. That nostalgic brand name is carrying decades of shortcuts inside every can. But speaking of shortcuts, the next brand has turned convenience into a potential health hazard. Keurig K-Cups. Over a quarter of American households own a pod-based coffee machine. The convenience is undeniable. So is the plastic problem. K-Cups are made from number 7 plastic, a catch-all category that Keurig admits is proprietary information. They won't disclose exactly what's in their plastic blend. What we do know, hot water at 192 degrees Fahrenheit passes through this plastic during every brew. A 2024 study published in Science of the Total Environment found that disposable plastic materials release significant microplastics when exposed to hot water. Another study found polypropylene releases substantial microplastics at boiling temperatures. And even at 192 degrees Fahrenheit, the chemical reactions that alter plastic are actively occurring. Water itself increases the biodegradation of polypropylene to microplastics by threefold. Microplastics have been detected in human blood, in brain tissue, in arterial plaques. A 2024 study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that patients with microplastics in their arteries had higher risk of heart attack, stroke, and early death. Research from the University of Birmingham found that coffee coming out of pod machines contains almost 2/3 holds more microplastic contaminants than the water going in. And a University of Connecticut study found that pod coffee systems release estrogenic chemicals into hot beverages, chemicals that interfere with hormone systems. The cleaning products recommended for Keurig machines often contain phthalates, adding another layer of chemical exposure to every cup. There's even a condition some call Keurig sickness, symptoms related to mold and bacteria growth inside the machine's water reservoir and internal components, where constant moisture creates ideal conditions for microbial contamination. Even the inventor of K-Cups, John Sylvan, has expressed regret. His exact words, "I feel bad sometimes that I ever did it." In 2014, enough K-Cups were sold to circle the globe over 10 times. That's a lot of plastic heading to landfills, and a lot of microplastics heading into bodies. Convenience has a cost, and seniors with decades of accumulated exposure ahead are paying it. But if plastic concerns you, the next brand adds another layer of worry. McCafe. McDonald's entered the home coffee market with McCafe and brought fast food philosophy to your kitchen. Mass production, maximum efficiency, minimum transparency. McCafe ground coffee offers no organic options for its mainstream products, no fair trade certification, no third-party testing for contaminants. The brand's focus is accessibility and price, not purity. For seniors managing multiple health conditions, diabetes, heart disease, kidney function, every additional chemical exposure compounds existing vulnerabilities. McCafe provides no assurance that their beans are tested for the heavy metals, mycotoxins, or pesticide residues that accumulate in conventionally farmed coffee. The 2025 Clean Label Project study found that 100% of tested coffee samples contained some level of heavy metals. The difference between brands lies in how much and whether they bother to test and disclose. McCafe doesn't test. McCafe doesn't disclose. McCafe expects you not to ask. And if corporate coffee disappoints you, wait until you see what America's donut chain is really selling. Dunkin. Dunkin stores serve fresh brewed coffee, but the ground coffee you buy at the grocery store, that's a different product entirely. Retail Dunkin ground coffee is manufactured by J.M. Smucker, the same company behind Folgers, same facilities, same sourcing standards, same lack of organic options, no fair trade certification, no third-party mycotoxin testing, no transparency about pesticide residues. And in January 2025, Dunkin products were swept up in a massive recall involving over 2 million baked goods due to potential Listeria monocytogenes contamination. While that recall focused on bakery items, it revealed the supply chain vulnerabilities that affect everything the brand touches. Listeria is particularly dangerous for adults over 65. The CDC reports that seniors are at significantly higher risk for severe infection, hospitalization, and death from Listeria exposure. The Dunkin name on the bag suggests the same quality you get in stores. The reality is you're getting Folgers in different packaging. Speaking of Latin American coffee, the next brand targets a specific market with concerning compromises. Café Bustelo. The bold espresso-style coffee beloved in Hispanic households across America, Café Bustelo is owned and distributed by J.M. Smucker, making it the third brand on our list from the same coffee conglomerate. Same sourcing practices, same lack of certifications, no organic options, no fair trade verification, no Rainforest Alliance certification, no transparency about the pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides used throughout their supply chain. Conventional coffee is among the most heavily chemically treated crops in the world. Some of these chemicals break down during roasting. Others, like glyphosate, can linger. For seniors, this matters because glyphosate exposure has been linked to liver inflammation and metabolic disorders. The first MAHA Commission report in May 2025 raised specific concerns about glyphosate's impact on human health, though regulatory agencies continue to debate safe exposure levels. Café Bustelo built its reputation on authentic Latin flavor. But authentic doesn't mean safe, and flavor doesn't mean clean. But the next brand proves that premium pricing doesn't guarantee premium quality. Seattle's Best. Sounds artisanal. Sounds Pacific Northwest. Sounds like quality. Reality check. Seattle's Best is owned by Starbucks, and it was created specifically to compete with budget brands like Folgers and Maxwell House. That's not a premium positioning. That's a race to the bottom. Seattle's Best offers limited organic varieties, but their mainstream products carry no organic certification. They source from conventional farms where pesticide use is standard practice. The U.S. has notably lax standards for maximum residue levels of pesticides in coffee compared to Europe. Farmers in coffee-producing countries use dozens of pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides, many of which are banned in European markets but perfectly legal in American imports. Seattle's Best rides on geographic branding while while delivering commodity-grade coffee. The name implies craft. The reality is corporate. And speaking of corporate, the next brand shows what happens when America's biggest coffee chain enters your kitchen. Starbucks. Starbucks serves organic coffee in exactly 0 of their stores. Let that sink in for a moment. The world's largest coffee chain, 40,000 stores globally, doesn't offer organic options for their brewed coffee, and their retail ground coffee follows the same philosophy. In April 2025, Starbucks faced a lawsuit from international rights advocates, alleging the company sourced coffee from a Brazilian cooperative whose member farms were cited for keeping workers in slave-like conditions. 8 Brazilian coffee farm workers are plaintiffs in the case. Starbucks touts their CAFE practices program for ethical sourcing, but CAFE practices is not organic certification. It doesn't prohibit pesticide use. It doesn't require third-party testing for contaminants. A bean can be ethically sourced under their standards and still be covered in pesticide residue. The company's own sustainability reports acknowledge they source from hundreds of farms across more than 30 countries, making true transparency about pesticide use at each farm essentially impossible. They claim zero tolerance for prohibited pesticides, but provide no mechanism for consumers to verify this claim at the farm level. Conventional coffee is among the most heavily chemically treated crops in the world. Some farms use over 250 pounds of chemical pesticides per acre. Many of these pesticides, including chlorpyrifos, a contact poison linked to birth defects, are banned in the United States, but still permitted in coffee-producing countries. Long-term exposure to pesticides used in coffee production has been linked to skin irritation, respiratory sensitization, carcinogenicity, and reproductive toxicity, according to published research. The U.S. has notably lax standards for maximum residue levels of pesticides in coffee compared to Europe. You're paying $12 to $15 per bag for Starbucks retail coffee. You're paying premium prices. You're not getting premium safety standards. But the next brand shows what happens when instant convenience meets instant concerns. Nescafe, instant coffee, the ultimate convenience for seniors. No brewing required, just add hot water. But that convenience comes with concentrated concerns. A 2022 study by the Hong Kong Consumer Council, testing 47 commercial coffees, found that instant coffee had the highest acrylamide content per kilogram, ranging from 160 to 790 micrograms. Regular ground coffee ranged from 53 to 240 micrograms. That's potentially 3 times higher concentration in the instant variety. Acrylamide is classified as a Group 2B possible carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. The FDA has specifically noted that coffee is a significant source of acrylamide exposure for adults, and you're getting more of it in every cup of instant. And there's more. Research on instant coffee found that ochratoxin A, a mycotoxin produced by mold, was detected in 10 of the instant coffee samples tested. Ochratoxin A is a known nephrotoxin, meaning it damages kidneys. For seniors already managing kidney function decline, which affects over 37% of adults over 60, this is not a theoretical concern. The same study found heavy metals detected in 12 samples, including lead in 7 samples and tin in 2. Even though levels were below regulatory limits, consuming trace amounts of lead can cause serious health problems, especially affecting the nervous system. Additionally, studies on instant coffee drinks found that lead levels can exceed consumer-safe thresholds with regular consumption of flavored instant varieties like cappuccino mixes. Research published in Biological Trace Element Research specifically warns that flavored multi-ingredient instant coffee drinks should be consumed from time to time only. Nescafe is owned by Nestlé, the world's largest food company with over $90 billion in annual revenue. They have the resources to test and disclose every contaminant in their supply chain. They choose not to provide detailed contaminant testing to consumers. Instant gratification isn't worth instant contamination, but the next brand has been in American homes for over a century and just paid $16 million to settle claims of deception. Maxwell House. Good to the last drop has been Maxwell House's slogan since 1915. What they don't mention, what's actually in those drops. In 2021, Maxwell House's parent company, Kraft Heinz, agreed to a $16 million class action settlement after consumers discovered the coffee couldn't produce the number of servings advertised on packaging. A 30.5-ounce container claiming to make 240 cups actually produced about 203, roughly 85% of what was promised. The lawsuit revealed a pattern of deceptive labeling across 38 varieties of Maxwell House and Ubon products. Consumers were systematically overcharged for coffee they weren't receiving. But serving sizes are just the beginning. In 2018, Maxwell House issued a recall due to potential contamination with metal fragments. The company has also issued safety notices regarding potential allergic reactions to certain ingredients. Maxwell House rejects organic certification. They reject fair trade verification. They provide no transparency about the pesticides, heavy metals, or mycotoxins that may be present in their supply chain. For over 100 years, Maxwell House has traded on nostalgia, but nostalgia doesn't test for contaminants, and nostalgia doesn't protect seniors from cumulative chemical exposure. But if Maxwell House disappoints, their biggest competitor has been caught in even more deceptive practices. Folgers, America's best-selling coffee, the familiar red canister in kitchens coast to coast, a brand that's been in American homes for over 170 years, and a company that's been sued repeatedly for lying to consumers. Multiple class action lawsuits have been filed against Folgers for the exact same deceptive practices as Maxwell House, overstating how many cups their products can make. One plaintiff calculated that a canister advertising 210 cups only contained enough coffee for 169 cups. That's 80% of what you paid for. Consumer after consumer reported the same experience. It takes quite a bit more Folgers than comparable coffees. You have to use an extra scoop to get a halfway decent cup. The coffee beans are so weak you have to put 7 or 8 scoops to make 8 cups. But deception is only part of the problem. Folgers uses a blend of low-grade Arabica and Robusta beans. Robusta beans are cheaper, more bitter, and, critically, more likely to contain mycotoxins than Arabica varieties. Studies show Robusta is more prone to mold contamination during growth and storage. The roasting process used by Folgers involves extremely high temperatures, which increases acrylamide formation in the beans. FDA testing found varying levels of acrylamide in Folgers products, a known possible carcinogen that accumulates with regular consumption. Many inexpensive canned coffees like Folgers are roasted at higher temperatures specifically to mask the inferior bean quality. Folgers offers no organic varieties. They reject fair trade certification. They reject Rainforest Alliance verification. Their website claims concern for sustainability and ethical conditions, but they refuse the independent certifications that would verify these claims. When consumers call their customer service line asking about mold and pesticides, representatives read scripted responses about following government recommendations. The J.M. Smucker Company, Folgers' parent, has built an empire on budget coffee. That empire is built on beans that may contain pesticide residues, mycotoxins, and heavy metals, sold in quantities that don't match what's advertised. For seniors who've been drinking Folgers for decades, the cumulative exposure is the concern. Every cup adds to a lifetime of unverified contamination. But there's one more product that seniors need to know about, and it's not technically coffee at all. Coffee Mate. This isn't a coffee brand. It's what you put in your coffee. And for seniors, it might be the most dangerous item on this list. Coffee Mate's 3 main ingredients: corn syrup solids, hydrogenated vegetable oil, and sodium caseinate. Let's break that down for what it means to your body. Corn syrup solids are processed sugars that contribute to blood sugar spikes. For the 37 million Americans with diabetes, disproportionately seniors, this matters with every cup. One study found that adults who frequently drank coffee with sugar and creamer were 1.5 times more likely to have trouble managing their A1C compared to those who drank black coffee or no coffee at all. Hydrogenated vegetable oil was historically a significant source of trans fats. While formulations have changed, some Coffee Mate varieties, especially powdered versions, can still contain trace amounts. The Environmental Working Group notes that mono and diglycerides in Coffee Mate may contribute small amounts of unhealthy artificial trans fats. Trans fats are directly linked to heart disease, the leading cause of death among seniors. Multiple daily servings add up, and then there's titanium dioxide. Coffee Mate contains titanium dioxide, a whitening agent that the European Food Safety Authority banned as a food additive in 2022. European regulators determined it could no longer be considered safe due to concerns about genotoxicity. the ability to damage DNA. Animal studies have linked titanium dioxide exposure to immunotoxicity, inflammation, and neurotoxicity. The FDA allows it. Europe does not. You're drinking a banned ingredient with your morning coffee. Coffee Mate also contains carrageenan, a thickener derived from seaweed. Research has suggested carrageenan may harm gastrointestinal health. Studies link it to intestinal inflammation and potentially inflammatory bowel disease. Europe banned it from infant formula due to safety concerns. Additionally, Coffee Mate contains sodium caseinate, a milk derivative, despite being marketed as non-dairy. For seniors with milk allergies or sensitivities, this hidden ingredient can trigger reactions they wouldn't expect from a product labeled non-dairy. The EWG gives Coffee Mate concerning scores for ingredient quality, noting the presence of sodium aluminosilicate, an additive flagged as higher concern in food. Coffee Mate has been banned or reformulated in several European countries due to trans fat content and other concerning ingredients. In the United States, it sits in nearly every grocery aisle, office break room, and senior living facility. You're not just adding creamer to your coffee, you're adding corn syrup, hydrogenated oils, banned whitening agents, inflammatory thickeners, and hidden dairy derivatives, multiple times per day, every day, for years. The cumulative effect for seniors is cardiovascular stress, blood sugar instability, and exposure to additives that other developed nations won't allow in food. Folgers and Maxwell House have been caught lying about serving sizes and refusing certifications that would verify their safety claims. Nescafe's instant coffee contains the highest acrylamide levels among all coffee types, up to 3 times higher than ground varieties. Keurig's plastic pods leach microplastics into every cup, adding to the contamination burden your body already carries. Coffee Mate adds banned additives and hidden sugars to your brew while marketing itself as a harmless enhancement. And none of these brands test for or disclose the pesticides, heavy metals, and mycotoxins that can accumulate in conventionally farmed coffee. For seniors, this isn't about one bad cup. It's about cumulative exposure over decades. It's about compromised kidney function trying to filter contaminants that younger bodies handle more efficiently. It's about diabetes management complicated by hidden sugars in products you never suspected. It's about cardiovascular health stressed by trans fats and inflammatory additives your doctor never told you about. The coffee industry spends billions on marketing. They spend far less on testing for the contaminants that matter. But you have choices. Organic coffee, while more expensive, uses no synthetic pesticides. Third-party tested brands verify their products are free from mycotoxins, heavy metals, and mold. Dark roasts typically contain less acrylamide than medium roasts. Bagged coffee contains fewer phthalates than canned. Real cream or half-and-half beats Coffee Mate's chemical cocktail every time. Your kidneys deserve better. Your heart deserves better. Your mornings deserve better than this. Check your pantry, check your grocery list, and check what you're really pouring into that cup you've trusted your whole life. Share this with a parent, grandparent, or friend who starts every day with coffee. They deserve to know what they're drinking and what it might be doing to their health. And drop a comment. Which of these brands has been your go-to? Were you surprised by what we found? Because once you see what's really in that cup, you simply can't pretend it's just coffee anymore.